Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Heart, and today I am bringing you things you should never do to your dolls part 3. Before we get started, I wanted to remind you to stream Folklore by Taylor Swift. It's her new 8th studio album. I am so proud of her for writing, producing, directing music video during quarantine. And yeah, I just wanted to remind you guys because you know I'm the biggest Swiftie ever and I have been listening to it nonstop. My family's already getting annoyed with me. And also reminded to treat people with kindness, Harry Styles, stream Fine Line. Anyways, let's get into it. So the first thing you should never do is hold your doll by the hair. I know this doesn't seem like a big deal at first, but if you continuously hold the doll by their hair, their wig will loosen up. Especially if it's an older doll, if you know, just yank her, yeet. Oh my gosh. Okay, as I was saying, if you hold her by the hair, over time it will loosen the wig cap and it's just not good. It's like the same thing with limbs. You don't want to hold them by the limbs too often. Best way, I said this in my last video, hold them by the waist, guaranteed no damage. Next is you should never put dark clothes that aren't from AG on before washing them because they could stain. I know there's an instance with this with Springfield clothes, which you can get from Michael's. I think it was like the athletic set, and it was like athletic shorts that I saw stained somebody's doll. So even just soaking the clothes does wonders just for your peace of mind, because sometimes dyes that are used in doll clothes can be super strong and not fully washed out when you receive them. And if you leave them on your doll for a long time, then it can stain. Obviously with lighter colors, that's not really a concern. But with blacks, dark purples, dark blues, it's best to just let it soak or wash them because it could potentially stain your doll. This has never happened to me, but I have heard stories about it and I wouldn't want it happening to any of you guys, so just one of my tips. It's not that big of a deal, but it can be a life changer. Next is you should never leave them in the sun because it can fade the color of their vinyl. Now we all know not to leave our dolls in the sun just because they can get squishy and their vinyl will start to melt, but also it will discolor them and kind of lighten their skin tone. And actually when you're doing benzoyl peroxide treatments, that's what you use to get stains out of your doll. And the reason that works is because benzoyl peroxide has an active ingredient and the sun accelerates the process pretty much and it bleaches the skin essentially. So if you leave your doll in the sun, even without benzoyl peroxide, it will kind of lighten the skin and fade the vinyl. That's why when you see really old dolls, even just from years of play and being rough with them, they tend to lose their blush, their lip color, and it just makes them look kind of like deadly. So try your best to be careful with your doll. Don't leave her in the sun for too long, and also try not to touch her face that much. It's not a big deal, but over time it can have an effect. Most of these things are like over time it will have a detrimental effect on your doll. Next is you should never get your doll wet, and this is obvious, but the body can mold and the eyes can rust. So we all know, golden rule, never get your doll's eyes wet because they will rust, but that's not even the biggest concern sometimes. If you get the cloth part of your doll's body wet, it can mold, which is obviously really gross and can be dangerous because, you know, it's mold. But just try to avoid that. When you're washing your doll's hair, be careful, cover them in a towel, and just make sure you're getting the hair if you are washing the doll's hair. Most of the time, there's not really a need to wash your doll's hair. If it's a newer doll, really just water and a spray bottle and a brush does the trick. Finger curling works wonders. You don't really need to get your doll's hair wet. But on the occasion that your doll does fall into a lake or another body of water, take all the stuffing out, wash the body, and let it dry, either air dry or blow dry it, just to avoid molding, because if it stays wet and moist, I hope you all like that word, for a long time, mold definitely can start growing there. My last thing is you should never use Sharpie on them. Unless you want it to be permanent, and even if it is, it's likely to fade into purple. So I think it's pretty obvious that you shouldn't use Sharpie on your dolls in any case, but some people like to give their dolls tattoos, which is awesome. I'm always here for that. But Sharpie does fade into purple, especially if your doll's in the sun, doing photo shoots or anything like that. It will fade over time and it fades into this purple color because black is made using like purple dye. Pretty much, if you ever have taken apart a Sharpie or tried to dye your doll's hair using a black Sharpie, you'll notice that it turns purple instead. So there's that. But also, if you want to give your doll a tattoo, that's fine, and you could use Sharpie, but you will have to touch it up. Just know that because they do fade. And even using the benzoyl peroxide treatment, which is effective most of the time, it can take months to get rid of a Sharpie stain, which I know because I've been trying to get rid of Sharpie stains on used dolls. and it has taken me at least 10 treatments so far, and they're still not completely gone. So if you're gonna use Sharpie, just know that it's a commitment and it will be permanent in some form. So that was things you should never do to your doll part 3. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed 25 Days of Summer, and I will see you guys in my next video. I will be listening to folklore while I'm gone, and you should too. Bye!